picking up storms. Who's got the greatest chance to see pop-up storms and where sizzling temperatures will top out?
And funding washed away. Why Orange County leaders say they're drowning in bills after Chantal and not getting promised help from FEMA.
Then forced to give back tens of thousands of dollars in prize money. It happened to one UNC athlete, and now she's suing. We'll get into it in Murph's Turf. Thank you for being with us here tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty. Are you sick of the rain yet? Yeah, me too. Check out the radar, though. It is here. We're dealing with it yet again, just the way it is, right? Especially during the summer months here in the Triangle. Storms have been popping up here and there all day long. And, Kat, it seems like that's going to be the case tonight, too.
We're still watching some showers out there tonight. It's going to be the case again tomorrow. The rain is really lightening up, though. Before, we had a lot of thunder, lightning, and red on the radar. As these storms have progressed across Wake County, they have weakened. It's just rain now that's making its way toward Raleigh, inside the Beltline there in downtown. Also some rain headed for Garner, but not too significant. In our northern counties, still some spotty showers, but those are fading. And Fayetteville, another round of rain out there. Rinse and repeat tomorrow, but it is going to be hotter out there tomorrow. High temperatures reach the mid-90s for most of us, and it will come with some scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms. The heat index coming awfully close to 105. Check this out. By noon, we're already at about 100 for the heat index forecast. 103 during the afternoon. It should be between 100 and 105, but it is only going to get hotter this week. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the building heat, plus the odds of tropical development and where the system is headed.
All right, talk to you then. Thank you, Kat. So tonight, Hillsborough town leaders are debating which path they should take now to recover from tropical depression Chantal. The flooding caused a lot of issues and expensive fixes. At least $30 million in damage there, just in Orange County alone. The question is, how are the local governments going to get the money to fix it all? Hillsborough's Board of Commissioners is meeting right now to try and figure that out. WRAL's Heidi Kirk is live there tonight. She just stepped outside to give us this report. Heidi, this board has a big job ahead of them.
Dan, that's right, and we're expecting that meeting to start any time in the next few minutes. It's going to be here at Town Hall. You can see that special meeting notice hanging right on the door, and you said it best. It's a daunting task for these commissioners trying to find the funds to pay for the cost of Chantal. Now, go ahead and look at your screens. You're going to see some of that footage that we captured here over the last few days. Now, washed out roads, property damage, and of course, the toll on the river pump station and the wastewater treatment plant. Now, it's a lot to think about repairing. And here in Hillsborough, where we are, town leaders also said they lost about 1/3 of the public works equipment in that storm. Now, leaders across the county are not only looking for funds to repair the damage caused by Chantal, but also find funding for long-term solutions so this flooding doesn't happen again. Now, yesterday, Orange County's Emergency Services Director told us that that will be a big part of the conversation going forward.
First and foremost on our radar to make sure that any new infrastructure that we are putting down, new projects, new construction, new buildings, new facilities, that we're doing so in a resilient way. And I think that is the case in Orange County for new infrastructure.
And Dan, of course, this is going to be a very interesting conversation tonight. We're going to be headed back in these doors in the next few minutes, and we'll bring you an update at 10 and 11 o'clock tonight. Dan.
So, Heidi, one more thing before you go. Hillsborough was under that boil water advisory for a few days after the flooding. That is over now, which is good, but it took a lot of work to get that fixed. And I'm thinking that the problem that stemmed from is going to be a big part of the discussion tonight.
Dan, that's going to be something that we're listening for. Now, the town of Hillsborough had to buy water from Durham while they were testing the samples of their water. Eventually, they found 30 clean samples without bacteria. So, of course, now that advisory is over, but they don't want to have to do that again. So they're going to be talking about some of those long-term solutions to prevent that going forward.
Yeah,
Dan.
Definitely. That was a big deal. All right, Heidi, we'll check back with you later. Thanks, Heidi. All right, let's roll.
Hillsborough has its work cut out for itself. And as we've been reporting, the mayor is hugely frustrated with FEMA. They canceled a program that was supposed to give the town more than $5 million. The money would have paid to move Hillsborough's main pumping station away from the Eno River, away from the floodplain. It's the same pumping station that flooded because of Chantal, sending 75% of the town's sewage spilling into the Eno River. But it wasn't just Hillsborough that lost funding. The FEMA cut affected dozens of communities in North Carolina, wiping out $200 million for projects just like the one in Hillsborough. We literally just talked about this last night. Maybe you watched at 7 o'clock, or maybe you saw the story on YouTube or WRAL.com. Attorney General Jeff Jackson's office definitely saw the story. Today, he filed a lawsuit against FEMA, accusing them of unlawfully canceling that program. He even included our story in the announcement. I spoke with Jackson this afternoon.
Why does FEMA not have the authority to pull this BRIC program?
Because Congress controls the purse. And Congress told FEMA, here's money and here's how we want you to spend it. And when Congress says that in a very specific way, the department then doesn't get to override Congress.
It's actually not quite his lawsuit. 19 other states are on board, too, all suing FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security's Secretary, Kristi Noem. They aim to reinstate that FEMA program, or at the very least, make sure the money isn't used for something else. The program is called Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Program, or BRIC. In April, the Trump administration canceled it, calling it wasteful and ineffective. The thing is, the BRIC program actually started during President Trump's first term in 2020 with the goal of helping communities with hazard mitigation projects. 5 years later, BRIC is gone. And it's not just Democrats that are upset about it. In May, federal lawmakers on both sides of the aisle wrote to Secretary Noem and FEMA Administrator David Richardson, urging them to reinstate the BRIC program. Republican Congressman Chuck Edwards, Republican Senator Tom Tillis, and Democratic Congresswoman Alma Adams all co-signed this letter. I reached out to FEMA repeatedly, trying to get more information about why they canceled the program and their reaction to all of the criticism. I never got a response. We're still waiting. But this is an urgent matter. And Jackson wants the courts to act fast because the next big storm probably isn't that far off.
Well, we're asking the court to treat this as an emergency. We want them to make a decision within a matter of weeks. We know that the litigation itself is going to take months longer to resolve. But what we don't want are these funds to get frozen and all of the money that localities across the state have already invested to result in stalled projects.
Yeah, communities have been counting on that FEMA BRIC program. They're trying to improve their infrastructure. Hillsborough tried to move that pumping station. They tried to get ahead, but losing the money set them back. The timeline to make those improvements delayed by months or even longer. So we're going to keep an eye on tonight's meeting in Hillsborough as they discuss the next steps to pay for the storm damage. You can find that coverage tonight on WRAL News at 10 and 11 and on WRAL.com.
Let's take a moment now and roll through some of the other big headlines from today. These are the 5 things you should know right now. Crews in Raleigh, they're trying to plug a water line before they have to turn off the water completely. This is over near Bickett Boulevard. The city says that a contractor pulled a water line there and it caused some problems. It's not quite the same as a water main break, but it can become a bigger issue. They hope to have those repairs done pretty quickly. A former member of the Johnston County School Board is out of prison. In January, Ronald Johnson was found guilty of extortion and obstruction of justice. He got 6 months as a prison sentence, and that ended yesterday. Johnson was also a former police officer. He lost his law enforcement certification in the process as well. He's going to be on parole until next April. Computer maker Lenovo is laying off 3% of its U.S. workforce. The company says they're adjusting to, quote, market dynamics as it invests in more research and development. Lenovo's U.S. headquarters is in Morrisville. More than 5,000 people work there. The company didn't say if these layoffs affect any of those employees. They have 7 other offices across the country. RDU Airport, they're getting $25 million in federal funding to extend John Brantley Boulevard. That's that road that goes right around the airport. The project will double the number of lanes from 2 to 4. The total cost is about $166 million. Maybe cut down on some traffic there. Construction is expected to start late next year. Likely won't be finished until about 2030. We'll keep an eye on it for you. The Fort Bragg signs are coming back to area roadways. DOT crews there replacing those Fort Liberty signs that went up just 2 years ago. Did you know that they just did like a paste over? I didn't realize that. It's interesting. It says Fort Bragg right underneath. So they started this week on I-95. Signs on secondary roads are next. In all, this will cost the DOT $125,000.
This is Brian Schrader, and all new in the WRAL Live Center. Governor Josh Stein says he will not appeal a partial loss in a lawsuit against the state legislature. He accused Republicans in the state legislature of a power grab involving the State Highway Patrol. This is part of that much broader bill that stripped the governor and other Democratic officials of much of their power. Now, in that ruling last month, the court said that the state legislature can vote against the governor's nominees to be commander of the Highway Patrol, but it suggested that they went too far in stopping the governor from replacing a commander of the Highway Patrol without approval. And in a statement this afternoon, Governor Stein said making a commander of the State Highway Patrol unremovable for any reason would threaten public safety, and I'm relieved the court did not endorse such a result. He says this is a partial victory, and he doesn't want to jeopardize it, so he is dropping the lawsuit.
All right. Thank you, Brian. So college athletes, they can't win prize money, even if they cash in for something like the U.S. Open, which some athletes do compete in. But that could soon change. A UNC tennis player is at the center now of all of this, suing the NCAA, and a judge appears to be on her side. After the break, we're heading to Murph's Turf to talk about the possible ripple effect that this case could have. And stick around for tonight's One Last Thing, because it involves a zebra named Pippi, who nearly lost her home. Not in the Savannah, but in Durham County. We're back after this. It is crazy how much college sports is changing. A UNC tennis player, Reese Brantmeyer, could be the reason that college athletes start earning prize money. Now, you might not know this, maybe you didn't know, but college athletes can enter some professional tournaments. We often see it in things like the U.S. Open or the PGA Tour. They can't, though, even if they win, collect the prize money. That has been the rule. But this is a new era, right, of college sports. We have NIL and revenue sharing. The rules seem to be changing, and a federal judge appears to be agreeing with this tennis player. To better understand the ripple effect this case could have on college sports as a whole, I spoke to WRAL investigative sports reporter Brian Murphy in another trip to Murph's Turf. All right, Murph, let's break this down. This athlete from UNC has a pretty interesting argument, but can you explain it in more detail?
Sure. Reese Brantmeyer says that the NCAA rules against her collecting prize money are a violation of antitrust law. More broadly, she says that, individual athletes should be able to collect prize money from whatever tournament they play in, be they tennis players or golf players or bowlers. This case, though, is just limited to tennis players.
So right now, if she were to sign with Nike for $1 million, she could easily take that $1 million and be the face of Nike collegiate tennis or something like that. But she just qualified for the U.S. Open. She's in the doubles. If she were to, say, win that and collect the $750,000 winnings, she would have to turn that down?
Right. Current NCAA rules say she could accept money for expenses, which she'd have to prove. But that's all. That's all the money that she could receive. Now, a judge in the case said this week that she is highly likely to certify this as a class, which means this is more than just about Reese Brantmeyer. This is about every Division I college tennis player currently playing, in the future, and 4 years back. They could be entitled to damages and injunctive relief from this judge.
So Reese Brantmeyer, as well as other players who may have won a tournament, won some prize money, had to turn it down, can then sue for damages, and the NCAA will have to pay that out?
Yeah. If tennis players are certified as a class and they get damages for money they couldn't receive, what's to stop the golfers and the bowlers and the skiers and the track and field athletes?
What is to stop?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you'd imagine that the NCAA, as they did in the House case, will try to settle this case, find a number that they can settle on, change the rule moving forward. But, it does open the door for all this. I had a national attorney tell me maybe this opens the door for bowl games to pay out their prizes as prize money, or in-season basketball tournaments to pay out their winnings as prize money. And then you've got athletes collecting money even while playing NCAA events.
This seems to be one of the last barriers because understanding the difference between an amateur and a pro has always been very simple. One gets paid, the other does not. But as we are seeing money get dispersed for all these different reasons to amateur and collegiate athletes, it really does kind of swing open, I guess, another door down this hallway we've been going down.
Right, that bright line that the NCAA enforced for so many years has gone away. I mean, we've seen it in the Olympics, right? There used to be a bright line, but then NBA players were allowed in the Olympics. Olympic athletes win a gold medal, their country gives them a prize, the NCAA allows them to keep that prize. Football players, men's basketball players are being paid directly from the school, so that line doesn't exist anymore. Now, where does the NCAA get to redraw that line? That is a matter for the courts, and one that probably won't be solved anytime soon.
We'll wait and see.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Murph. From Murph's Turf to the severe weather center with meteorologist Kat Campbell, we have some action down in the Gulf.
Yes, we're watching this closely. The swirl to watch is right here, but if this were going to develop, it really needed to do so earlier this morning. It's pretty much over the land where we've got the center of the system right now, and it's going to track right along the Gulf Coast, so it's not going to have a lot of time over water to actually come together, which is good news. Still a medium chance that this develops within the next 24 hours, really. But the key here is that it will bring some heavy rain to parts of the Gulf states, especially Louisiana, where they're more likely to be impacted as the system continues to track west. It'll recurve to the north, and this is the model plots through Saturday morning. Notice they're far away. A couple model plots, if you extend into early next week, do bring the system a little farther to the east, closer to North Carolina. But by that time, it wouldn't even be remnants or low pressure. It would just be a kind of messed up moisture blob that's left over on the radar. So I wouldn't worry about this. As we look at the system that we're watching, we've got this front to the north, but it never picks this up and moves it along. So it just kind of sits over Louisiana, dumping some heavy rain, and it's going to stay there a little longer. The front's too far to the north to pick it up. Through Saturday, you can see some of that rain. When you look at the flood risk Friday, it is high in parts of Louisiana, just west of New Orleans. And we'll see that flood risk extend west into Houston, up into Tennessee as well. Fenton looking pretty good right now after a little bit of rain earlier. You can see some people out enjoying the grassy field there. It's starting to clear out for many of us, but there is still a little bit of rain left in Wake County, just some light patchy rain. The thunderstorms have faded for us, luckily, and we do have some showers that we're still watching around Fayetteville and Dunn. Those are slow to clear out. It's going to be the same kind of a thing tomorrow. Lightning will be possible in these storms. If you can hear thunder, that means you're close enough to get struck by lightning. Even if it is not raining, make sure you head inside. If you hear thunder, if you see those towering clouds, especially if they've got an anvil that spreads out to the side like this, or if you notice a wind shift, these three things tell you it is time to open up your WRAL weather app and check in on the Dual Doppler 5000 radar before you do anything outside, or maybe to make that decision to come inside. 78 now that we've seen the rain in the Triangle, 77 in Fayetteville. Feels pretty good, though it still feels like a sauna outside. We'll be back in the mid-90s tomorrow, upper 90s on Friday, and stay in the mid-90s through the weekend. I do think Friday will probably be placed under a heat advisory unless storms are expected a little earlier in the day. We could be through the weekend as well. By the middle of next week, it is still hot, but storm chances could go down a little bit, Dan.
Well, we'll take that. Thank you, Kat. After the break, the curious case of Pippi the zebra. She lives in Durham County, and she almost lost her home in this week's storms. And I know what you're thinking. You can have a zebra? Your one last thing is next. One last thing for you tonight. It's a story we actually hoped to include last night, but we ran out of time. You see, while one of our reporters was out talking to people about storm damage on their property, she stumbled onto this. Yes, your eyes aren't deceiving you. That is a zebra. A zebra hanging out in Durham County. Her name is Pippi. Apparently a storm that came through this week knocked over a tree that nearly crushed Pippi's enclosure.
All the wet dirt caused it to just completely uproot and tip over. Luckily it missed, pretty much everything. It missed the small barn back there. It missed this big barn, the chicken coop. It barely missed that. in our other little peacock house. And, we're very fortunate that it pretty much missed, everything that it could have really done damage to.
We don't even have time to talk about the peacock house, but we're probably thinking the same thing. You're wondering, what the heck is a zebra doing in Durham County? It's not a zoo, it's just somebody's house. Is that legal? Well, yeah. Turns out it's kind of an Air Bud situation. I mean, there ain't no rule against it. See, North Carolina is one of only 4 states where there's no rule against owning a zebra. There's also no rule against owning all kinds of exotic animals like lions or tigers. Some of these animals are actually available online. We found a website called Zebras R Us. You can buy, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can buy zebras. You can also buy zorses. It's a zebra horse hybrid, or a zonkey. That is a zebra donkey hybrid. How do they make those? Well, we're not going to get into that, but you can also get a camel. It should be on Camels R Us, but it's not. It is legal to get a zebra, apparently. We did find some restrictions in North Carolina. You can't own any native species as pets, like bears or foxes. There's also a long list of frogs and fish that do require a permit, and one of them is a zebra mussel. Their striped game is a little weaker, if you ask me, but these guys are apparently bad for the environment. They could also clog water intake, so there you have it. Zebra, good. Zebra mussel, bad. Also zebra cobra, bad. Do you remember this story from a couple years ago? A venomous zebra cobra got loose in Raleigh. Officials spent days looking for it. Animal control finally caught it, and the cobra's owner was hit with multiple charges, had to pay thousands of dollars in fines. Raleigh City Council later went to ban ownership of certain exotic animals in the city limits, and that does include cobras and lions and tigers and wolves and monkeys, but not zebras. Not zebras. You can still enjoy those. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 or 11 o'clock on WRAL. Beautiful night out there. Have a good one.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.